What are the craziest things you've seen with prescription drug use, legal prescription drug use?
Well, legal prescription drug use is becoming an epidemic in America. It's probably the most abused drug in America today. At least in our area, it's getting very popular. Um, what we see is we see people doctor shopping, so they'll get opiates or narcotic from one doctor, then the next day they'll go to another doctor, and there is no communication between those doctors.
Yeah.
So they end up with massive amounts of these pills. So what we see on traffic stops and stuff, we see people under the influence, driving under the influence of these narcotics that they get from the doctor, and then when we pull them over, they have them in baggies or not in prescribed pill bottles. So that would be possession of a controlled substance, just like marijuana or methamphetamine. If you're not allowed to have it, then it's a controlled substance, and so it would still be the same crime. So we do see that a lot in this area, unfortunately.
What are some of the most common drugs that you see from prescription drug use around here?
Um, we see a lot of Xanax, which is like an antidepressant type of pill. We see a lot of hydrocodone, which is your basic painkiller. If you go to get your tonsils out or something, that's generally what the doctor will give you is hydrocodone. They come in 5 milligrams and 10 milligrams. They can be sold on the street anywhere from $10 to $25 a pill. So some people will doctor shop and then they can make quite a bit of money off doing it.
Yeah. So, what are some of the repercussions from selling illegal narcotics?
Well, it would be no different than selling marijuana, meth, or heroin. You would get it's a felony in the state of Idaho. It would be possession with intent to deliver a controlled substance. Um, you would the only way you can have those is you have to prove that you have an active prescription. We always tell people if you have a prescription for a pill, whether it be narcotic or something you take every day, keep it in the bottle. It has your name, it has the RX number, the prescription number, the doctor who gave it to you, his information. So it's always best just to keep it in the bottle because then we can look at it and say, okay, you have a prescription for this. If you don't keep it in the bottle and you have it in a pill organizer or a baggie, you run the risk of an officer taking it until they can find out whether it's a legal prescription. I would say the biggest issue we have is when people get addicted to these narcotics or opiates they get from the doctor. Eventually, the doctor's not going to give them to them anymore, and then you see the transition from these pills to heroin. Heroin is the next; it's the closest thing to a prescription narcotic or opiate, and it gives them the same type of feeling. So then people take this transition into getting it legally through doctors into the kind of illegal world that really kind of sucks them in and brings them really down.
Yeah. So, what are some of the repercussions not from selling but from buying them?
Buying them, it would be possession of a controlled substance. Certain pills, depending on how they're scheduled in the drug classification, would be considered felonies or misdemeanors. It would just depend on the pill, and a lot of that is we have to look all that up, and it's kind of a pain. But it would just kind of depend on the drug that you're prescribed. But if it's a narcotic, then it's a felony. You can't possess a narcotic without a legal prescription. So you would go to jail. Um, it's you can face up to 5 years in prison, $50,000 fine, or both.
So, what are some of the repercussions not from legal repercussions, but from like physical or mental repercussions from abusing prescription drugs?
Well, you always run the risk of most people who abuse them. They start off taking what's prescribed. They get that feeling of relief from pain or from whatever they're prescribed it for. Their body gets used to taking them. Well, they don't get that feeling anymore, so they up the dosage on their own, and they keep upping that dosage. It does severe kidney and liver damage, especially people who maybe don't know they have a kidney or liver problem. That can put them into renal failure, liver failure. So it can be quite severe. Also, you kind of when you're on those kind of medications, you're in a haze kind of in a cloud all day. So a lot of people will be driving around. They can get DUIs. They can crash. If you crash your car while on these and somebody dies, you could be charged with aggravated vehicular manslaughter. I mean, you can go to prison for a very long time just because you took a even if it's a prescribed narcotic, that could still happen.
So, would prescription drug use in the Manicaja area be more evident than, say, like methamphetamine or marijuana?
I would say it's just as evident as both of those. Methamphetamine, marijuana are definitely our two biggest, um, as far as just straight illegal drugs. Those are the two most common. Uh, I'm a canine officer, so I do deal with this quite a bit here in this area, in the Manicaja area. But I would say prescription drug use is about the same. Um, we have a lot of younger generation kids that will crush up Norcos or um,
Hydrocodone type?
hydrocodone type of pills.
Yeah.
They'll crush it up and mix it in with their marijuana because they like the way it makes them feel, and that's something that we've been seeing more and more of. Um, and so it's very unfortunate. But in mixing those drugs, they don't understand the repercussions from that can be very severe. So
So, in high school and middle school students, how often do you see illegal drug use for prescription? More than marijuana or less?
I would say less in the younger ages. In my experience, and for what I've seen, the prescription drug use we see more in the 21-year-old to 40-year-old range, the little bit older crowd, I guess. The younger generation, we're still seeing just a lot of marijuana use. LSD, which is acid and it's a hallucinogen, is making a comeback in the younger groups, and so that's unfortunate. That's a pretty harsh drug. But as far as prescription, I have had one person cited this year in the high school realm for that.